what you put in is different. Well, there was one point I skipped over before. Sorry, it's the first time I've given this particular talk. When I said why not to worry about the fact that there's mental differences, I said one thing was that that there's a million different kinds of intelligence, not one. The other thing I wanted to say was that the differences between individuals within the group are far more different than the average differences of the group, right? So if group A is here and group B is here in a particular type of intelligence, the spread between individuals is a much bigger thing and matters much more, okay? Because nobody hires, you know, an entire ethnic group to do a job, okay? You're hiring an individual. And what matters is his or her individual potential, not, you know, how you classify the entire ethnic group. Which brings us to an incredibly important point, which is statistical modeling. It's the next, I think we're up to the fourth or the fifth thing that is totally wrong with the left's approach, is that they see this all in terms of statistics. And I'm here to tell you that the statistics are useless for the reasons we've just discussed. Different groups get different results. I told you there were thousands of different ethnic groups around the world. And again, this is Thomas Sowell. Okay, if you read his books, has lists and lists of these. Practically every country in the world has multiple ethnic groups, most of which you've never heard of. Do you know in how many countries those ethnic groups get the exact same economic results? Zero. Zero. There is not one country on earth or one country in the history of the world that we know of where different ethnic groups have achieved the exact same level of economic success. It just doesn't work that way. Different people have different strengths and different weaknesses under different circumstances, different cultures, different genetics. You're going to get different results, and it's fine. It's okay. There is nothing wrong with people having different results. One of the really blessed things about living in the United States in the 21st century is that nobody's starving. Economic differences matter way more if I'm starving to death and you got plenty of food. That's a problem. Okay, I'm really suffering over here. But that doesn't happen in the United States. We're way richer than that. If you are eating fancy French cuisine at a five-star restaurant every single night, and I'm eating, you know, hot dogs and spaghetti, that's not such a big difference. I can live with that. Okay, I'm not eating as fancy as you, but I have enough food. I'm not starving. And the same thing on other levels. You know, maybe you're driving a Rolls Royce and I'm driving an old beat-up jalopy, but I can get there as fast as you can. The speed limit's the same for me and you. Okay, so because we're as prosperous as we are, I actually think we should worry less about economic differences and appreciate the fact that we all have things to contribute. Which brings us to the affirmative action error. And this is what's in the mind of your typical leftist. White people have been bad for the last couple hundred years. And so, to make this right, the white folks need to be in the penalty box, you know, for the next 100 or 200 years or something. Okay, and that'll kind of even things up. This is the two wrongs actually do make a right if you're a progressive concept. And it's very important to understand, first of all, how widespread it is. Yeah. This is gone way beyond just college admissions and hiring. This affirmative action disease has affected every single corner of our society, and I want to talk about that for a minute. I read a really interesting article by a guy who lives in Southern California, and he said something that really stuck in my mind. He said, I'm white, and being white in Southern California today is basically just one more ethnic group, one more minority group. There's no majority. Okay? There's Chinese people, there's black people, there's Mexican people, there's white people, just a whole bunch of different minority groups, no majority. He said, however, there is one difference. If the black people in my neighborhood want to get together and form the black citizens of you know, Southern California, you know, coalition, that's fine, no problem. If the Mexicans want to get together, if the Chinese want to get together, that's fine. If the white people want to do it, no. That's racist. Okay? You cannot do that. And I'm going to tell you, I will not condemn I'm not even sure what they are, but the white nationalists until I can condemn the black nationalists. To say being a black nationalist, that's fine, we're proud of you, but be a white nationalist, oh my gosh. Now, let me be very clear here. I think they're both really silly. I'd like to forget all this nonsense and all get along with each other. But to say that the exact same thing is bad because of who's doing it, and this is very much the direction our country's going in, is hugely problematic. And I'm going to tell you why it's a disaster in a minute, if it's not already obvious. But I want to give you another example of it, and I found this one particularly amusing, was a recent Supreme Court decision which threw out the districting in North Carolina. You probably heard this, it got a lot of attention. They said that the Republican legislature had made racist districts and that they couldn't do that, and they threw it out. And it's interesting because the Supreme Court has generally said that districting is a political decision and you can do anything you want. You just can't be racist. So let me tell you real quick the history of this. This started back in the early 90s when the Democrats said, you know what, we want to have more blacks in Congress. So they were running up a whole bunch of state legislatures. They said, we're going to squeeze all the black people together into solidly black congressional districts because that will greatly increase the chance that they will elect a black representative to Congress. Okay? And that's what they did in the 90s. And it had two results. The first result was that there were more blacks in Congress. The second result was there were more Republicans in Congress. Why? Because if you squeeze all the blacks are overwhelmingly Democrat. If you squeeze all the blacks together, you make the surrounding districts whiter because you took all the blacks out to throw them into the spot, and they're whiter, therefore they're more likely to vote Republican. So it actually benefited the Republicans and the black Democrats and hurt the white Democrats. Yep. But the Democratic Party said, that's okay. We'll take the hit on this one because it's so important to get more blacks in Congress, and the Republicans were like, cool, no problem. We're cool with that. Okay? And then in North Carolina and other states too, because this is a real issue today, the Republicans took over, and you know what the Republicans did when this did a redistricting plan? They squeezed all the black people together into districts, which was the exact same thing the Democrats did. And it had the exact same result. It caused more blacks to get elected to Congress, and it caused more Republicans to get elected because by squeezing all the blacks together, you make their surrounding districts whiter. And the Supreme Court said, you can't do that. It's racist. But it's the exact, there is no cosmic difference here at all. It's the exact same thing the Democrats did. But when the Democrats did it, they did it because they're woke and conscious and good, and when the Republicans did the exact same thing, they're bad, racist Republicans. I'm not kidding you. That's what the Supreme Court said. That the exact same action becomes racist because Republicans did it. And obviously have bad motivations, whereas Democrats only have good motivations for the things that they do. And we're seeing this all over the place. I'm fascinated that DACA, this whole thing about it not prosecuting illegal aliens if they brought here as children, was Obama ignoring the law and ignoring the Congress, which never voted for it. He did it all by himself. And then Trump stops doing it. And he's being sued for violating people's civil rights. Apparently you have a civil right to have the law that was ignored by your predecessor continue to be ignored. And the basic point is that Trump is an evil Republican, and Obama was a good Democrat. So it's just, but this is what we're dealing with now. Is that if you're bad, it doesn't matter what you do. It's automatically bad because of who's doing it.